Palmer was good. For a few years, Warner was good, and now Murray's good. There's some franchises I can't even say they got one quarterback right, like the Bears. I mean, they had Jay Cutler for like a year or two, was pretty good, and then he just wasn't ever again. And the people reacting to this, it's like, hey, yeah, take a deep breath, man. Not everything has to be perfect. And I think the best examples of this are actually MJ and LeBron. They are the two best basketball players ever. They both aren't very good three-point shooters. LeBron has never shot over 80% from the free throw line. He's a bad free throw shooter. MJ wasn't a very good passer. He was a bad teammate at times. These guys, who are the two best basketball players ever, were far from perfect. Alright, so the Bengals president said that their whole focus is to extend Joe Burrow. It's... Like I said, it's very crucial to lock up your quarterback early. Although sometimes playing your quarterback early doesn't always pay off, like Jared Goff. Sorry. Jared Goff obviously didn't pay off. Carson Wentz had like a year or two that was good afterwards, and then kind of fell off the rails. I think he is still capable of being a good quarterback, but it's like, that just didn't pay off for the Eagles at all. I just think it's the new NFL to pay your quarterback early. You can't let him go too early otherwise. It's just, you have to pay them at the exact right time. It's really tough, honestly. You got to make sure it's not too early like Carson Wentz or Jared Goff, or not too late where they just leave you, and then you had the guy, but you lost him. But, it's, I think Joe Burrow is someone you could pay early. I think he is the guy for the Bengals. I think he is good for long term. I don't think this is a one-time thing. So Mike McCarthy pushed back on some of the job security questions. I think it's a good question later if they start off rough. Like if they start off like 0-3 or like 1-4 or something in the first 5 games. I think it's a fair question. But not now. He has a right to say that. Like I said, it's a fair question and they ask it later when they're struggling, but now is not a good time to ask him that. So Shanahan said he thinks Trey Lance is ready to be the quarterback for the Niners. How confident? And I don't like nitpicking, but I don't think this is nitpicking, really. I think it's 100% justified that I'm, going after this comment he made because, when you say, think is a key word, really. It's, when you say you think something will work, I'm not as confident as when they're, confident, this is gonna work, if they say something like that, or, I think this is gonna work, it's just, you feel more pressure when it comes to that. I don't know. I just... But congrats, Shanahan. You made me have less faith in Trey Lance when I didn't think I could. And, I like Kyle Shanahan. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL by far. It's just... I don't know. When you use a word like think, when describing how you think someone's going to go, it's just... I don't know. It's just... not reassuring at all. So the Packers extended Gutekunst and LaFleur, I think I like yeah, I think I like this, you know? But you know, that's my honest opinion, you know? I'm not entirely confident with LaFleur if whether or not he's really a good coach, you know? I think he's... alright, I should rephrase that. I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he's a great coach that can win Super Bowls. I think he can make it to the playoffs with another quarterback. But I don't think he can make it as far as he has with Aaron Rodgers, you know? Like, with another quarterback, I don't know if he makes the NFC Championship last year. Or, my bad, divisional round last year. The NFC Championship the other years, you know? But like I said Shanahan, I think he's a great coach. I put him in tier 1 with Sean McDermott, probably Andy Reid, Sean McVay. You know, that's where I put Kyle Shanahan. Then there's people on the brink of that. I like Vrabel. I think he could fit in there. Tomlin's amazing. John Harbaugh is great. I think those are great coaches. You know, they're great. I don't know if Matt LaFleur is great. I think he's good, you know. He could prove me wrong. You know, but I am in the same tier. I am in the tier below with, like, Zach Taylor, you know. Like, they're both guys that looked good last year, but was it because of the quarterback? And I mean, I'm more skeptical of Zach Taylor because the year before that, when Joe Burrow was injured, they were not a good team. But then Joe Burrow comes in now, he was great, and they're a great team. You know, so I'm more skeptical of Zach Taylor, but Matt LaFleur, like, it looks like he's not the same guy in the playoffs. He has an incredible record in the regular season, 39-10. The point differential is 282 in the regular season. Versus the playoffs, and he's 2-3, and the point differential is -6. And, you know, he's just not as amazing as he is in the playoffs as he is in the regular season. He's questionable, you know? Right now, I think he's good, not great. He could prove me wrong by either, you know, showing up, like, and I mean, if they go to Jordan Love after Rodgers in, like, 3 or 4 years, I'm going to give him time before I judge him. Like, if he, in the first year, doesn't do as well, you know, I'm not going to bash him for that. It's a new system with a younger quarterback, who, by the way, didn't look good last year in the few games he played. Like, in the Chiefs game, our defense carried that game, and we didn't even win. We came close to winning because of our defense. It's not because of Jordan Love. We scored 7 points. Our defense held the Chiefs to 13 somehow. If Rodgers was there, we would have won. You know, it wouldn't have been close. You know, it's, I don't know. But, alright, so back to the athletic list. So Mike Sando and the NFL executives pretty much said Wilson and Stafford are tier 2. They're not as good. It's just, I don't see how, like, if I were Russell Wilson looking at that, I'd be like, I have the 4th highest pass rating ever with a bad defense and a poor O-line. Like, one of the worst O-lines in football. You know, he sees, oh, Joe Burrow is better than me? Joe Burrow's great, but he had one good year. Like, are we sure he's tier 1 right now? And Herbert, great quarterback. He hasn't made the playoffs in 2 years, and you have him ahead of Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford, who just won a Super Bowl. And again, I think it's a very accurate list, but that's the one thing I'm nitpicking at. It's like, I just don't get it. And I mean, you could say, oh, Wilson has a down year. Yeah, and it's kind of scary because this is a down year for Russell Wilson. 25 touchdowns, 6 picks, 103 passer rating. I don't think it's a decline. I think it's a down year for him, but I wouldn't call it a decline because a decline is like when you have 2 or 3 years that are significantly worse than the years you've had before, like in your prime. But I kid you not. There was one complaint I heard. It's that he's high maintenance. That's ridiculous. The reason for it was he needs an office at the facility. Of course, he's the coach on the field. Of course he has to have an office in the facility. I don't think he's declining. 8 playoffs in 10 years. I just don't see him as a tier 2 quarterback. That is tier 1 in my eyes, and you're not going to change my mind. All right, back to Kyler Murray. 4 hours of study required for him a day. Now there is something he said that actually kind of angered people. It's what do you say? I'm gonna read this. I think I was blessed with the cognitive skills to just go out there and just see it before it happens. I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit there and kill myself watching film. I don't sit there for 24 hours and break down this team and that team and watch every game because in my head I see so much. And I think he makes a decent point. Like, there are guys that are blessed with a unique skill set, like Kyler Murray. Like Tom Brady wasn't blessed with that. He wasn't really talented. He just kind of outworked everybody, Like, he watches film. It probably takes up, like, half of his day watching film. But, like, Kyler Murray, he has a unique skill set. He's more talented. He probably doesn't have to watch as much film. Because he, like you said, probably born with cognitive skills. But, if it's required in his contract, you might as well follow it. It can't hurt him at the end of the day. Like, it can't hurt him to watch film for 4 hours a day, All it's going to do is make him more knowledgeable of the game. Like, so that's all it's going to do to save him. Alright. So, Tyreek Hill says that Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, and although I'm hesitant to agree on that, I don't really like to trust the people. Like, maybe he's developed into a very accurate quarterback during training camps and, like, kind of OTA kind of stuff. I don't really trust the people that are there, because they're there, and they see what's happening. We don't. So if he's made improvements, then maybe he could be highly accurate. He was compared to Drew Brees coming out of college, so it's like, it's hard not to see him possibly being an accurate quarterback, because Drew Brees had, like, the highest completion percentage almost ever. Many years, 70% completion percentage, and high 60s a lot, I've always said Brees is the most accurate passer. Rodgers is the most efficient passer because he literally has the top 2 quarterback ratings in the season. 122, 121. His passer rating has always been high, despite even Lane doesn't really get credit for that. He gets more credit for how he throws the ball. Like, that's also insane. But I think his efficiency is sometimes overlooked, But, anyway. You know what the problem is with Tua, though? Like, I defended him for a while. Up until, last year where I kind of accepted, okay, he's not as good as he was supposed to be, but he can turn into that, The problem with this is, though, if he's very much like Drew Brees, he's also not really a deep throw kind of guy. Like, Drew Brees was a lot of short accuracy passes, Nothing huge. Although occasionally, I think he had a pretty decent deep ball, though. I don't know if Tua's developed that yet, and the problem is, if it's not Tua's forte, then that's going to be rough with Tyreek Hill because all of his throws are downhill, burning the other guys, But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe he can prove me wrong. All right. So back to Mike McCarthy. He said the job security questions were media driven. Jeez, I can't speak today. Like I said, I don't think it's a good question today. But like I said, maybe if they struggle early, especially because it looks like there's a chance Sean Payton might come out of retirement. And if he retires and says, I want to coach the Cowboys, it's very likely the Cowboys say, we're good, we don't need you anymore. Because we got Sean Payton, who is a smarter coach. I'm not going to say these exact words, but I will. Sean Payton is a smarter coach than Mike McCarthy, and it's a no-brainer, really. Alright. So Mac Jones, Tua, and Trey Lance have received high praise from the coaching staff. And like I said, I like to trust them. The only thing I'm iffy about is Trey Lance, honestly. Because, he got praised, but Shanahan said, I think he's ready to go. That's a big thing, It's, I find it tough to believe him in that, I don't know. He didn't really sell it very well. And again, I could be wrong. I could be nitpicking, but just sharing my opinion. So the Packers extended Gutekunst and LaFleur. I'm pretty much just going through everything I've went through in this podcast, basically, just coming full circle. Although the next 2 segments are going to be about something different. So, Gutekunst, LaFleur, they had a rough end of the season. But I think this is a good setup for the future. I think you keep them right now because as far as you're concerned, they're both really good. So, and you could pretty much fire both of them at any time. It's not like they're set for life or anything. Alright, so Doug Peterson expects a sky is the limit mentality with Trevor Lawrence. And I like Doug Peterson. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he was the problem in Philly. I think honestly 7 and 10 would be a great season for the Jags, considering what they were in last year. a 3-win team, the worst team in the league, actually, behind the Lions. The Lions are better than them last year. But you know what? Doug Peterson is a big step up from Urban Meyer, who was like a joke last year. But oh my god, was I wrong on Urban Meyer? I thought Urban Meyer would be good there because they're a college town. He's one of the best college coaches that I've already been through this. And why I thought he would be good, but I was dead wrong. He was not good. And the weird thing is, though, it's an odd division. I mean, the Texans are the only team you really know about. Like, the Titans, you're like, okay, they got Vrabel. They lost A.J. Brown, though, that's a big L. It's just, you know, they lost A.J. Brown. They don't have Corey Davis anymore. It's like they're going to be relying on Derrick Henry. Like, Tannehill's getting older. It's like they're relying on Derrick Henry and a not very good defense to win games right now. But they've had a successful last 2 seasons, so it's hard not to believe in them. And then you got the Colts, who have Matt Ryan now instead of Carson Wentz. I don't see what the upgrade was. I mean, he's a better quarterback, I think. Matt Ryan's a better quarterback than Russell Wilson, but he's also older. Like, you're not going to have him for that long. But, alright. You know, it's... The Texans are the only team you know that are, like, not going to be that good. But if the Jags do wind up being better than we thought and being like 7-10, is it possible they get second in the division and make a wild card or something? It's crazy. It's definitely a crazy thing to think about, but you know, it's an odd division. It really is. Alright, so back to the NBA, and then we go into our final segment of the day. Westbrook is getting interest from the Knicks, Pacers, and Jazz. I'm going to say he fits with the Knicks best, because you put him with a bad team, he can control the ball, you know? Like when Kevin Durant left, and the Thunder... were terrible. He carried. He led the league in scoring. He averaged a triple-double, at the end of the day. That's an amazing accomplishment. And, he thrives, when he's the star guy. But honestly, you know what I think is interesting? I wouldn't trade Mitchell for Westbrook straight up, because Mitchell's young, Westbrook's getting older. And I think Mitchell's a better player. So, but if Mitchell winds up getting traded from Utah, I think they are an interesting fit for Westbrook. I think he fits there, but right now, I think maybe the best bet is the Knicks for Westbrook, I don't think the Pacers really worked that well. They already offered him to the Pacers, I think. Or the Pacers already offered them an offer, and they offered them a deal, and they said no. So it's not looking good for the Pacers, but the Jazz is interesting. They really are. Alright, so I'm going to go over the chances for each coach getting fired. Pete Carroll, I'm going to give him a 45% chance. He'll be 71 this year. number one. And number two, they're already declining. They lost Russell Wilson. They're kind of in a rebuild, so it sounds like they should fire him, but I think he's going to retire soon. They might as well just wait for that. You know, but I'm giving him a 45% chance. I don't think he'll be fired, but I wouldn't rule it out completely. All right, so Matt Rule, I'm gonna give an 80% chance. He has 10 wins over 2 years. All right, he's won 5 games in back-to-back years. He's just not that good of a coach, and the GM doesn't seem very happy with him either. So it doesn't look good for him. Maybe I'll drop it to a 75% chance, but that's still pretty high. So Kevin Stefanski, I'm giving him a 25% chance. He's only into year 3 right now, so you can't judge him too early. Remember, he was the coach of the year 2 years ago. It's just last year was a mess because Baker Mayfield was injured for most of the year. And you know, like I said, you just can't judge him too early. I'm going to say 25% chance. Mike McCarthy, I'm going to give a 60%. He had a good year last year, but you know, like I said, the Cowboys, I'm always annoyed with them. Because they're going to have a good regular season, because look at their division, you know? They played those 3 guys, those 3 teams, 6 times a year. The Giants, Commanders, and Eagles. 6 times a year. That's almost half. That's a little less than half a season. Like, it's an easy season for them. And then they play easy teams also, eventually in the season, and of course they're going to have a lot of wins. You know, it's annoying. It really is. And, you know, I don't know, because I think they might move off of him if they go another first-round exit. I don't know. It's tough to evaluate the Cowboys. They're just not a very well-run organization. All right. So Dan Campbell. I'm gonna give him a 15% chance. He seems pretty safe. They were decently competitive towards the end of last year, and he seems very likable. He just seems like a better coach than I expected. So, not very likely. Frank Reich, I'm giving a 50. He's had slow starts. If he has another one, I think it's a good chance he gets canned. I don't know. It just might be lack of success. Not really. A pretty quiet tenure he's had in Indianapolis. The Carson Wentz team up was ultimately a disappointment. You know, I'm gonna give him a 50. Robert Saleh, 65% chance. The thing is, with the Lions, there was momentum towards the end of the year. You know, he has no momentum. They're in a division that just keeps getting better. And, you know, it's possible they take a jump, but I'm going to give it a 65% chance that Saleh gets fired. Ron Rivera, the last one. He's not the problem. I think they have a bad roster and bad management. I'm going to give him a 40% chance, because it's possible they fire him anyway. But I think he's pretty solid. I think he's set. I don't know. He's another guy. He might retire soon. I don't really know. But, alright, that's it for the podcast. Approximately an hour and 15. Again, I think I've reminded you guys enough about, how I'm going to deal with, it's just, I'm going to be inconsistent with these podcasts. It's pretty simple. But I'll see you when I see you, I guess. Have a good day.